Okay, so today's lecture, we are going to start with complex sets and functions, and this is a very important class of problems in optimization, what is known as convex optimization. So we are actually going to get introduced to convex optimization today. And what we want to show here is that what we want to show here is that these problems have some very nice geometric features. In these problems are somewhat, I would say, more solvable than the very generic optimization, nonlinear optimization problem. These are also nonlinear optimization problems, but because of the structure that is available with them, solving them is somewhat easier for many of them, and lot of real life problems can actually be posed as convex programming problems or convex optimization problems, and it helps a lot in that sense. Actually, there are courses devoted to convex programming itself. There are books, nice thick books, on convex optimization, and it's a topic of detailed study. But we will get some introduction in this coming set of lectures on convex sets and convex functions and convex optimization. Upfront, I want to tell you that with this, what I call it as a convex programming problem, uh, what happens is that within complex, local minimum and global minimum are one and the same. So there is no question of like multiple local minimas of different costs and global minima or at somewhere else. Those kind of problems will not be there. So so e- even without knowing what is a convex function and all that kind of stuff, this is not convex function. Why? Because there are two local minimas at different costs, at different objective function values. So this is not a convex function, and if there is no convex function, there is no convex programming to be. There is no convex programming to be done around there. Okay, so what is happening? I don't know. So there is no convex programming to be done here. Now, these are at two different class. This is another function to which there is only one local minimum, right? Where is one local minimum? This is the local minimum. And what about the global minimum? Actually, the function is going to minus infinity. So the infimum of this f of x is actually minus infinity. So this is also not a convex function. So such convex functions are usually nice functions. For example, if I show you a function somewhere here like this, x square, here the infimum of this function is 0 and the local minimum is global minimum here, and this function is a complex function. So mind you, I am not saying that if local minimum is equal to global minimum, then it becomes a complex function, then it becomes a convex function. I am saying that convex functions enjoy this nice property that when you do minimization with them, the minimum that you get itself is guaranteed to be a global minimum. Okay, so that's the point I can. And multiple minima are allowed. It's not at different same cost. You can have multiple minima at same cost. So this is also, this is like a flattened curve thing of f square. This is convex function, and all minima are at same cost in this particular case. So, with this very brief introduction, that the value of convex optimization is that whatever you get as a local minimum is also a global minimum, and that many real life problems, for example, in economics, we have what is known as a social welfare maximization problem. In these are problems which are basically convex programming problems, and I will discuss few more examples later on. But to describe, but now we should actually try to define convex sets. Our first job is to define convex sets and functions. And to define convex functions, I need to first define the convex sets. Okay, so the story begins with convex sets, then comes convex functions, and then finally get finally we can talk of op- optimizing convex functions on convex sets, which is actually the which is convex programming. Okay, so this is the this is what we are trying to get introduced in this new set of lectures. So let's start with the definition of a convex set. A set S in Rn is said to be convex if the line segment joining any 2 points in the set belongs to the set S. Is said to be convex if the line segment joining 2 points, arbitrary points, mind you, 2 points of the set belongs to the set S. So you can see the definition itself is has a geometric feeling about it. So let's say this is a set S in R square. This is a subset of R square. Take any arbitrary 2 points x1 and x2. Okay, join the line segment. The line segment, complete line segment, belongs to S. Now you take another two points, any 2 points in this set. Again belongs to S. Take a third point, doesn't matter. This time I will take 1 point here on the boundary and another point inside, still belongs to S. And so you see, and if I take, let's say, 2 points here, both on boundary, and still join the line segment, it still belongs to S. So still belongs to S. So therefore this set is a convex set. So what could be other examples? For example, you could think of a you could think of a circular disk centered at some A and B, and a circular disk like this of with the radius r is also a convex set. Now this is incidentally a closed set also, is it not? So let me make it open. So I will make it strictly less than r square. My question now is this convex? Yes, it is still convex. If I take 2 points inside this set, you can, if I take 2 points inside of this set, both are interior points, and I join them, the line segment is still in the interior of this circle, is it not? And so therefore, uh, and so therefore, it is a convex set. So the point is, a convex set could be closed or it could be open. There is no problem. Both is possible. There is no issue about. We are not going to worry about this particular thing. How do I how do I now express this convex set in an algebraic sense, right? Because I cannot, in Rn, where n is greater than 3, I cannot draw any pictures. In fact, for greater than 2 itself, I cannot draw pictures. So how do I algebraically uh, say that what is a convex set? So let x1 and x2 come from the set as arbitrary points. Okay, then this line, which I write it as lambda times x1 plus 1 minus lambda times of x2, this is the line segment x1 x2. This should, where lambda is between 0 and 1, this line segment, so let's call this as uh, set of all x, such that this should be a subset of my set S. Okay. Now lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 can be written as x2 plus x2 minus, rather, x2 minus lambda of x2 minus x1. Okay. So what I mean to say is, imagine a ray x2 minus x1 is this, x2 minus x1 is exactly this ray, and this lambda is between closed interval 0 to 1. So now start, x2 is the starting point here, so start from x2. Then let's say you define it as point of 2. Let's say you took lambda as point of 2. So you take 1/5 of this and subtract it from x2. So what you are doing is, you are walking back this much here, and now you are looking at this point. So that's why this is a line segment. What I am trying to explain to you, that if I let lambda from 0 to 1, at lambda equal to 0, I am exactly at x2. At lambda equal to 1, I will be at x1, and if I take lambda in between like zero point 0.2, I will walk that much distance, fractional distance back, and be at some point on this line segment. So therefore, this is this is actually the this is what is called as a convex combination. Lambda coming from 0 to 1, and lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda times of x2 is called the convex combination of the points x1 and x2, and it generates a line segment connecting x1 to x2. And we say that the set is a convex set if this line segment is in the set S for all arbitrary points x1 and x2. So is that clear? What we mean by a convex set? This, and so you could also, instead of this, you could have also written as lambda x2 plus 1 minus lambda x1. This is also this is also perfectly okay. There is no problem. This and lambda and lambda coming from between the closed interval 0 to 1. This is also a perfectly acceptable alternate description, alternate description of the line segment joining the points x1 and x2. Here you would start actually from here you would start, your initial point will not be x2 but the initial point will be x1, and you will, instead of taking a backward step, you will take a forward fractional step, and then you want that each of this complete line segment should be between the each of this line segment should be inside the set S. So let's now look at one example where this is not a convex set. So let me draw a set which is not a convex set. Okay. Now look at this set. Okay. Now let's say I take a point x1 here and I take a point x2 here and I connect a line segment between the two. Then does the line segment belong to set S? Yes, this complete line segment is inside the set S. Can I say that this set is convex? Answer is no. I cannot say this set as convex. No. Why? Because if I take a line segment, let's say this as x1 and this as x2, and join this, then these points on the line segment here, are not in S. This is my set S and these points are not in S. Though what I am trying to say is that this line segment, every line segment created from points in set S, created from points in set S should be in set S. Then and only then is my set convex. All right. So now around this, there are some more alternate definitions that I can give. For example, I can talk of affine combinations. All right. So suppose, for example, that uh, uh, okay, I'll come to affine combinations a bit later on. I will postpone this discussion for a bit later. And first, let's look at some examples of convex sets. Okay. So and what I am teaching to you is a mix from the nonlinear programming theory and practice from Bazara, Sherali, and Shetty, and appendix of the Batsika's nonlinear programming book. So both of the places this this is reasonably well uh, covered. So as an first example, let me take S is equal to a set x1, x2, 3 tuple x1, x2, x3 such that 3x1 plus 2x2 minus of x3 is equal to 4. So what is this actually? This is a plane in 3D. This is actually a description of plane. So let's say that I have a point a1, a2, a3 on the plane, and I have another point b1, b2, b3 also from here, and I look now at a convex combination. This lambda a plus 1 minus lambda b is called the convex combination of A and B, so long as lambda is between 0 and 1, so long as lambda is between 0 and 1. And in for this convex combination, okay, I want to check that it belongs to S. So what do? I take lambda times of yeah. So the point that I have to take is lambda times of A1, A2, A3 plus 1 minus lambda times of B1, B2, B3. So my x1 is going to be therefore lambda A1 plus 1 minus lambda B1. X2 is going to be equal to lambda A2 plus 1 minus lambda B2, and x3 is going to be lambda A3 plus 1 minus lambda of B3. Now I need to check that whether 3x1 plus 2x2 minus x3 will be still equal to 4. If yes, because my A and B are arbitrary points in set S, if yes, I will then set S will become convex. So to that, for that substitution when I do, I get here as 3 lambda A1 plus 1 minus lambda B1 plus 2 lambda A2 plus 1 minus lambda B2 plus 3 lambda A3 plus 1 minus lambda B3, and then I separate it out terms which are common with respect to lambda. So 3a1 plus 2a2, where is the 2a2 term? 3a1 term comes from here, 2a2 terms comes from here, and 3a3 terms comes from here, plus 3a3 plus, now I will group the terms from 1 minus lambda. So I'll get 3 times of b1 plus 2 times of b2 plus 3 times of b3. So plus 1 minus lambda 3 times of b1 plus 2 times of b2 plus 3 times of b3. And now what does this? This is already, you know this, right? What do you know this 3a1 plus 2a2 plus 3a3 is? It is actually 4, is it not? It is 4 because this is A, the point A belongs to the plane. So therefore this becomes lambda 4 plus 1 minus, again the B point is, this is the description of B point, and the B point also belongs to the plane. So therefore this is 1 minus lambda times of 4 again, and therefore this is equal to 4, which means that the convex combination and lambda, later on when I say convex combination, I will not every time write lambda coming from 0 to 1 closed interval. That is, when I say convex combination, that's exactly what I mean. Now this convex combination therefore belongs to the plane, given plane, the plane given, and hence plane is a, what we have actually seen, that plane represents a convex set. Okay, now if you take it to higher dimensions, Rn, this I did it in three dimension. Plane is in actually 3 dimension. In higher dimension, I can call something as a hyperplane. Okay, the extension is called hyperplane, and that is a set S of all x in Rn such that vector P transpose x is equal to alpha. This is a description of uh, this is a description of a hyperplane. In our example, uh, what is P? 3, 2, 3 in the previous example. And what is alpha? Alpha is 4. That was the description of the plane. So in general you have p1 x1 plus p2 x2 and so on up to pn xn to be equal to some scalar given constant scalar alpha. This is a hyperplane. Now this, imagine that there is some point x bar which is on this hyperplane. So then what will happen? P transpose x bar is going to be equal to alpha. So therefore I can write P transpose of x is equal to alpha is equal to P transpose of x bar, or in other words P transpose of x minus x bar is going to be equal to 0. So imagine that, I'm sorry, imagine that there is a plane like this, and this is the x point, some x point, this is a given point x bar. So x minus x bar is this particular ray here. Then what this says is that P is normal, P transpose, P is a normal vector to P is a normal vector to it. So therefore, this P is also called as a normal. This dot product is 0, right? So this dot product is 0 implies that the two vectors are perpendicular to each other, and therefore this P is also called as a normal to the hyperplane. Then it's a normal to the hyperplane. Also, if you look at this as a function P transpose x and you write a gradient of this function, then what is it? It is P. So therefore, this is also called as gradient. So you can say that this is a gradient or normal to the hyperplane. And we can check now, easily we can check that the hyperplane which is defined by P transpose of x is equal to alpha is a convex set. So what I do, I take one point, let's say x bar, which comes from the set S. I take another point, let's say x bar, which comes from the set S. Then next I take the convex combination of these 2 points. So lambda comes from 0, this. I take this as x, and then I evaluate P transpose of x, and P transpose, I use the condition that P transpose of x bar is also alpha, and P transpose of, sorry, x hat is also alpha, and P transpose of x bar is also alpha. So I get this as lambda alpha plus 1 minus lambda times of alpha, and therefore it becomes equal to alpha. So that means P transpose x, this line segment is on the hyperplane. This complete line segment is on the hyperplane, and hence hyperplane is a convex set. So do you see the geometry that comes with the convex sets and functions? Can you appreciate that? So now let us we can say, see, the if you draw a plane in 3D, okay, you draw take a plane in 3D, right? So it extends on this side, and it extends on this side, and it extends on this side, and extends on this side to infinities. And then you could easily see that this plane divides the 3D into two half spaces, right? So one space I can call it greater than or equal to, and another place space less than or equal to, and the two half spaces intersect to create this, I mean, intersect into the plane, and union creates the complete R3. So similarly, so what I mean to therefore say is that suppose in the previous example, x1, x2, x3, I write what was my 3 3x1 plus 2x2 minus x3 less than or equal to 4. 3x1 plus 2x2 2x2 minus of x3 minus of x3 less than or equal to 4. So is actually called a this is actually called a half space. Okay, this is actually called a half space. Generalizing to hyperplanes, it is set of all x such that p transpose x is less than or equal to alpha. Another half space, so this I will call it as H minus. Then also I can define another half space as H plus, which is P transpose X is greater than or equal to alpha. And every time you take any X, either of these two has to happen. So therefore, H plus union H minus will be equal to your Rn. So the complete space is partitioned into two half spaces by a hyperplane. Now my question is, now my question is the half space a convex space? Is the half space convex? I'll simply write it like, is the half space convex? Answer is of course yes. That's why I have taken it up. But let's take one point P transpose x bar less than or equal to alpha. So that means x bar comes from the half space H minus. Another point, sorry, x hat, another point x bar also coming from the point of half space H minus. Now look at the convex combination of the two and do this. So lambda comes from 0 and 1, and then this is my x, a convex combination of the 2 points x bar and x hat from the half space, and now evaluate P transpose x. So it is alpha times of P transpose of x bar. I'm sorry, I should have written as lambda here. So it is lambda times of this plus 1 minus of lambda times of P transpose of x bar, which is lambda times of which now I can write this as P transpose x bar x hat is less than or equal to alpha, so I can write this as less than or equal to lambda of alpha plus 1 minus lambda times uh, again P transpose x bar is less than or equal to alpha. So there are multiple things when I have changed this from, when I have changed this equality to inequality, multiple things have happened which helped me. Okay, so the first thing that has helped me is that P transpose x hat is less than or equal to alpha. Okay, now the second thing that has helped me is that P transpose x bar is also less than or equal to alpha. So because both of them were less than or equal to alpha, I could think of this being replaced by less than or equal to. The other thing that facilitated this decision is that when I'm adding these combinations, this is made lambda times and 1 minus lambda times, then lambda is also greater than or equal to 0, and 1 minus lambda is also greater than or equal to 0. So therefore the inequalities during any addition do not change their sign, and hence I could write it all of this like this, and then this is equal to alpha. To emphasize this point, what I am saying is 3 is less than or equal to 5. If I multiply this by zero point 0.2 on both sides, it remains less than or equal to 5. But if I multiply by minus of zero point 0.2, then it becomes greater than or equal to, inequality changes its sign, is it not? But here in convex combinations, I don't have to worry because the multiplication factors on both sides are positive. So therefore, I get that P transpose X is less than or equal to alpha, and hence half space is in Rn is also convex. Okay. So now let's look at another example. Let's say I have a set S given by a 3 tuple x1, x2, x3 such that x1 plus 2x2 minus of x3 is less than or equal to 5, and 3x1 minus 2x2 plus of x3 is less than or equal to 6. So both of these should happen. That means what am I looking at? I am looking at intersection of two half spaces. Okay. So this is also convex. Why? Because you see, suppose I take x hat from set S, x bar from set S, then first one, let's call this normal as P1, then I will get P1 transpose x bar as less than or equal to alpha 1, where alpha 1 here is 5, alpha 2 is 6. The normal given by 1, 2 and minus 1 is P1, and the normal given by 3, minus 2 and 1 is P2. So I'll get, and P2 transpose x bar is less than or equal to alpha 2, and not x bar, I'm sorry, x hat. And then with x bar also, because it belongs to set S, it is in the half space of the other hyperplane also. So therefore P1 transpose this is also in this half space, and x bar is also in the other half space. So now when I look at lambda times of x hat plus 1 minus lambda times of uh, x bar as x, then I have to check what happens with P transpose x, and I have to check what happens with P transpose of, I'm sorry, P2 transpose of P2 transpose of x. So if I substitute this x in, let's say here in the first P1 transpose x, then what will I get? Lambda times P1 transpose x cap, but P1 transpose x cap is less than or equal to alpha 1, plus 1 minus lambda P, P1 transpose of x bar, but P1 transpose x bar is also less than or equal to alpha 1. So therefore this is equal to P transpose x is equal to what I just said, P transpose of this is actually less than or equal to lambda times of alpha 1 plus 1 minus lambda times of alpha 1, which together makes it that it is less than or equal to alpha, and hence P1 transpose x belongs to H plus. Similarly, you can show that it also P2 transpose of x will belong to the other, I'm sorry, this is less than or equal to, so I should write this as first half space, and it also belongs to, similarly it also belongs to the second half space. It also belongs to the second half space. and therefore X also belongs to the set S, which is the intersection of the two half spaces, and hence intersection of half spaces is a convex set. So intersection of half spaces is a convex set. So I can generalize this to the fact that a set S in Rn given by this such that Ax is less than or equal to B, which means that this is a m cross n matrix, this is a n cross 1 vector, and this is a therefore m cross 1 vector, and so Ax less than or equal to B can be thought of as a normal A1 times x is less than or equal to B1 intersection normal A2x is less than or equal to B2 intersection so on AM transpose X is less than or equal to BM, where the A1 transpose is first row of A and so on. Then this intersection is also convex, and because it is with less than or equal to, because it is with also, because it is with less than or equal to, incidentally this is also a closed set. So this is set which is an intersection of m half spaces, this set which is an intersection of m half spaces is also called as a polyhedral set, is also convex. And now last two examples I am just leaving it to you to show that uh, they are convex. This is actually a what is called as a convex cone. So I have x2 is greater than the mod of x1. So 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 this is, let's choose some different color. So this is a convex. This is a convex cone. Geometry. It is quite obvious to you, right? Like if I choose 2 points here, any arbitrary 2 points here, they are going to be uh, inside this cone C, and therefore this indicates actually a cone. But you try to show it algebraically also, and then let's say x1 square plus x2 square is less than or equal to 9. This is the closed circular disk. You show this to be also convex algebraically. By figure you anyway know it. So I think we will, with this examples, we will stop this lecture here and continue this topic in the next class. Thank you.